I figure that's just fun to do. He won't mind, will he? Well, what's going on in Hill County Precinct 1 today?
Well, we have a busy day today. The main bridge in Whiteblood is being removed.
Yes, the covered bridge there.
Covered bridge, and all of the traffic, heavy and light, is being pushed off onto 1145.
So just clarifying for all those folks at home, we have nothing to do with White Bluff's internal bridge issue. That's on them.
Correct.
However, anytime that bridge goes down, they wind up on our county roads, and that does seem to cause some issues from time to time.
Well, they're not used to driving on county roads, and
I am shocked.
they.
You need better roads.
Yeah.
We had, the phone hadn't started raining yet, but I'm sure it will. We had an issue with there's a bridge across the creek that has a pretty far drop into the creek bed.
Yes, sir.
And the bridge had no guardrails, no delineators. So we welded those up last week. We got delineators up. We put up 1-lane bridge signs, reflective tape.
Good deal.
Kind of give them a heads up. Don't drive in the creek.
That's
So
good.
we'll see
Good
how
advice.
it
Don't drive in the creek. Mr. Crumpton, what's happening in Precinct 2 today?
Trying to thicken roads up, we have enough rain and, we had 4 blades running Friday. I had 2 volunteers that ran 8 hours Saturday. And myself and a foreman had 4 hours, and now we're working over on Prairie Valley Road, trying to cover up some old asphalt that's falling apart. Just gonna cover it up with some gravel, and we're gonna go back and reblade it. That kind of thing.
Appreciate that. Thank you. Mr. Hawkins, what's happening in your part of the world?
Much same thing, trying to, they haul a lot of rock, different roads, 3110, 3214, 3111. Anyway, just trying to get them kind of patched up before this stuff here starts. Guys working in the shop today, placing cab mounts on the truck.
That'll make the ride nicer. Okay. Plenty of maintenance, a lot going on. Good deal. Commissioner Lake, what you got going on today?
No, we've been trying to clean out a few ditches and do a few things. We figured last time that we probably got 100 miles of ditches that need either be cleaned out or something. So
Just 100.
That was our guess. We were trying to be nice. But it's a mess.
I got you. I got you. Sheriff, what's going on in your world?
It's still going. Yeah, we got, for today, we got some transports, and then the guys and girls out there doing their normal duties every day, so, hopefully it could slow down, not have any wrecks.
Knock on wood.
Other than that, we're good. We're rolling smoothly.
That sounds good. Hearing a lot of good things that people. So I think it's really having an effect on what you guys have implemented. We appreciate it. Rachel, anything from the treasurer's office?
So some of you may have received the email, since we did the new purchase in December, I thought it'd be good to go ahead and send those out. So you'll be getting an email with several attachments. There's an acknowledgement page. The county's good to talk.
I'm already getting them coming in. I have mine and I have Mr. Holmes, so. What's happening in IT?
This week, Judge, well, last week we had Christian Cabling Group come out and they, been doing a lot of work over at the sheriff's office on the camera system. And we converted the sheriff's office over to the same access control system that
Good deal.
we're using here at the courthouse. Annex, those folks are gonna be out there today, doing some things on the camera system. We assisted them in moving the bookend computer. They were changing some things around in the jail, so we're helping out. That's mostly what we got.
Mostly what we got going. Okay, good deal. Yes, ma'am. I'm not that holding still. Does anybody from AT find that? Since we cleared that hurdle, let's pull downtown. I swear it's just when it get rains downtown, our internet connection gets kind of choppy sometimes. So we'll move along with that. You know, I'm willing to believe you're 100% accurate. So anyway, what's happening to emergency management, Tom?
Good, one, great.
Yeah.
We did get a phone call last minute. Last year, we applied for the loan fraud software. And, at the very last minute, the day of the scoring meeting, the state pulled that plan and put it in a much larger pool, which would have Austin, San Antonio, Dallas. They didn't even know we were there. But anyway, this year again, they have made 30% mandate for Homeland Security Grant Fund has.
Go ahead.
Okay, I was gonna say, Chris has got the news about the sheriff. So
Jackson, what you got?
Finished the BDA last week for the jail, so that's done.
Wonderful.
Working on the encryption stuff for the sheriff, make people secure.
Yeah.
Chugging along, no, side, slowly but surely.
It's going to be slow moving. That's the fun of dealing with the federal government. Okay, for anybody that was not following along at home or had intermittent service there, hopefully that's got things corrected. We're just continuing the meeting. Minutes ago, it is still the 11th day of February 2025. From this chair, a couple of things. We've already purchasing acknowledgements. Again, this is just pursuant to Chapter 262 of Local Government Code. If you're a department head, if you're an elected official, if you're buying anything, if you've empowered one of your we'll be sending those out to. Have you? I'm not gonna do this every time. All right, good to see you again. Okay, so we're having roof leaks on this building. It's gonna be an issue. We have in the past dealt with most of them ourselves, but it's getting to be serious enough in certain places. I'm gonna have to call a contractor in. For those of you guys that don't know the history of this roof, it's not a good one. This roof was put on here not after the fire. That roof was beat off by hailstones. So this roof is extra. It's individual tins, aluminum tins that were handmade. Apparently across the street, a guy set up shop and built them for us. Each one of these things has been sealed and then painted over. Well, 25 years out in the heat will do some things to it. So the roofing needs to be reworked. I got to find a contractor to even climb up on this thing. It's such an oddball that most of the contractors we've talked to previously have said, hey, Wes, not us, thank you. So we're continuing to look for somebody to get up here. Lucio's doing his most valiant efforts at the moment. If you're on the third floor and you have water dripping, let us know. We think we know where all of them are, but we're trying to get that under control. Had a pretty productive meeting a couple of weeks ago in McKinstry regarding Covington Street, and they said, well, we'll get all this stuff done next week. I've heard that for 2 years. You know what? They got all of it done next week. So really impressed with that. That project is coming along. I've not made the final sign. I saw you look at me. I'm not signing that invoice yet, but I'm getting close to signing that invoice. We have two minor things that we're waiting on. Both of those are waiting on parts to warranty valve handling box over there. So hopefully that'll get resolved pretty quickly. Otherwise, it's just business as usual. It's been a very busy January, turning out to be a busy February at this time. So that's what I've got to report from this chair. And we're going to talk about a lot of other things on today's agenda, so we'll get along with it. But at this time, this is where we present our open forum. That is, if you're here to speak to the court on any matter, either on the agenda or not, if you wish to, you may address us. I would ask that you limit your comments to no more than about 5 minutes in duration. And as we respect you, please show respect to the court. Everything copacetic? Good deal. Going once. I can't whistle very well. I do the Jeopardy theme for you. I don't think I could pull it off. So we'll stand up, please. And the only reason is not so that we can focus on you and mock you. It's the acoustics in this room are terrible. Oh, good.
Concerns about a culvert. We lost ours about on January 15th, we were Gwinnett County. And so drainage has become a bigger problem for us than it was. So I would just kind of like to know long-term, what the status, and I know other people, they could actually come, so it had been an orphan, but I got the rules and I don't think that they apply to us. And so I was kind of coming here for clarification or, just a future reach out of what exactly is the thought process behind, we were told we were non-compliant of the law.
Do me a favor, hang around to the end of the board if you can, please. So during open forum, we have the ability for people to address us, but not normally to have conversations back unless it's correcting factual inaccuracies or however the code is written. But if you hang around afterwards, you can get time with your commissioner and we'll definitely be able to answer some of those questions for you outside of this. Thank you very much. Anybody else for open forum? We'll take criticism. We know we make mistakes. Okay, well, we'll give you a chance again at the end then. We're going to move on though. So at this time, we're going to start running through this agenda. The first is our consent agenda. We have action on minutes, action on invoices, action on payroll, action on monthly report for revenue and disbursement, and observe and record elected official training certificates. Now for the first four, you would have gotten emails from the treasurer's office. Mr. Parker, thank you very much for sending those out. I, on the other hand, kill forests, so I printed it all off for the record. All right. There's a motion of second to accept the consent agenda as presented. Any additions, deletions, or corrections to this agenda? Hearing none, I call the question. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Any abstention? Motion carries. I'm going to start the orders around at this time so we can keep up with them because we've got a lot of ground to cover today. Okay. Oh, there we go. Sure enough. Okay. Stack them up on you there. And point out our elected official training certificates while we're at it, moving around. Mrs. Parker, congratulations for getting some education. Okay, moving along then, we have our first court order today that's discuss and or approve employees come through, people moving up, moving on, whatever it may be. The first thing we have today is Weldon Turner in the jail is now running bookend or has bookend certification. That's great. Samuel Corley in the jail, also able to bookend. Wonderful. Roberto Villarreal, Sheriff's Office, he was moved from transport trainee to transport deputy one. Well, congratulations, Mr. Villarreal, for completing your training. Robert Young in the Sheriff's Office is no longer with the FTO port of it, but still with us. Kimberly Tatrier, I hope I said that right. Forgive me if I did not. They're no longer booking officer. They've moved on, but they're still with the county. Kenneth Reeves is not in the supervisory position anymore, but still with Hill County. Jacob Wyatt, he's moved from jail corporal to jail sergeant. Congratulations, Mr. Wyatt. Christopher Clark with Emergency Management. This is doing what we talked about in last court and same hours, same pay, but adding, additional hours from 20 to 30 and adding the insurance that was previously budgeted. This is the employee wage status change to cover that. Carrie Allen, the Sheriff's Office, is going to move on to greener pastures. Brittany Mitchell, the district clerk, is coming on board, I guess. Congratulations. She's going to be a trainee. We have Brent Huffman, the district attorney's office, and that's the state longevity pay for the district attorneys is quite frankly, I don't want to be offensive, but it's some of the worst arithmetic you'll ever see. So they had to fix that and get that back right. Then we have Judge Harris. Obviously, he has moved on to greener pastures. We wish him all the best on 10th Court of Appeals. And last but not least is a Miss Amanda Miller, who is she a lieutenant in the jail?
Correct.
Correct. Okay, good deal. And we're proud of Amanda. She does a great job for us. Those are the employee wage status changes for this date. Motion and a second to approve. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, I call the question. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Any abstentions? Motion shall carry unanimously. Number two, discussion on Hill County motel tax allocation. All right, we've got to get a handle on this. So as you may or may not be aware, back in 2007, a group of citizens went to the legislature in Hill County and they got a hotel motel tax passed for Hill County. The idea is in the unincorporated areas of the county to use this to support putting heads in beds is an economic development tool. All right. It's seen different ways being done over the years. Currently, though, we've got problems. The world changed around us and we need to change with it. So what I mean by that is used to your hotel motels, they're pretty obvious. You had a couple of bed and breakfasts, you had a couple, but most, we knew who they were. Now, everybody with a house in a residential neighborhood in Hill County that wants to do Airbnb, VVRO, or any of the 70 additional like platforms can do so, but they're also subject to this tax. The problem is we've previously allocated this to the tax office to collect it, and they've not been willing to do that. It's being fallen in the treasurer's office. It ain't fair to the treasurer because it's not her job. And number two, that makes two hands on the same set. I don't like that. I don't like it where one person's taking in, one person's counting for it. Our treasurer is an honest person. I want to point that out, but we're going to get tagged with that from our outside auditors at some point. It just violates basic cash handling policies. So the question before me is, what do? Do we either A, press the tax assessor collector to get on board and do this because we've paid for software? She just hadn't shown up for the training. We need to get this done. Or do we do away with this tax totally? And that needs to be a conversation. What are we going to do? We have previously used this tax and what we're currently using it for. We pay to maintain a website that was bought with it. We have the Getaway Vacation Capital of Texas.com. I think it's just getawayvacation.com. That's what the folks got the legislature to name us in 2007 is the Texas Getaway Capital. Getaway, I get mess this up 25 times. Anyway, you can look that up. Yeah, I'm good. I'm making some coffee. I can't get that right. We pay.
Talking about in dollars. Do we have any idea?
That's a great question.
Have we kept up with it to
So,
even know?
well, we've kept up with what we've actually collected. We're not collecting everything we should collect, though. That's the problem. There's a large amount out there that we hired a company called GovOS. They're software. They're web crawler. They send out their little robots all over the web, find the information about Hill County listings, put them in. And when people don't pay, they develop a letter for us. They develop everything they need. We just have to send that letter out. And then when they don't, take it to our delinquent tax attorneys, but that's not getting done. This court has previously instructed the tax assessor collector to do it. It needs to be done. That's all there is to it. this is to support our hoteliers, our moteliers, to support what is a large part of our economy, which is tourism. We have a lot of folks come here for tourism reasons. I don't understand the holdup over there. It's not that difficult. It's not talking, how much time are we talking about? But a de minimis, 10 hours per quarter is all it would take. So right now, to answer Jim's question about what are we taking in, do you know? 40 to 50. The best we can guess is we probably double that if we're actually taking everything we should.
Well, it's not fair to the people who are paying to let the other people get a free ride.
I agree wholeheartedly. It's not fair to them. And that's the reason we went out and hired GovOS and make sure everybody's level the playing field. Just, we're not getting any response from the treasurer's, from the tax assessor collector's office, who should be collecting this tax on behalf of Hill County. So I'm putting that out there for a general discussion. I don't have action today, but we're going to keep getting this before the court until we find a resolution to it. I believe that we have an economic tool there, that is to put heads in beds in Hill County, as simply as I can say it. We've used it in the past to support conventions. We've used it in the past to support advertising. We still pay for everybody that pays into that tax their annual dues to the Texas Hotel Motel Association. It provides them advertising. It provides them web presence. It provides other supports for them, just like any other business association. So there's benefits to it. It just needs to get done, and it's not getting done. And I need to figure out how we're going to enforce getting this done. That's where I'm at.
I think the last time we talked about it, we didn't know if the cost to administer it would outpace the revenue.
I think that we can lower the cost to administer it, number one. That's not an issue. Number two, we have collected way more than 50,000 in past years. Yes, ma'am. Yes, okay. Yeah, come on, speak up. What's your, okay. Okay,
We are an event center, which brings in a lot of people to the county.
yeah.
Do weddings, birthday parties, those kind of things. The number one thing they asked us when we opened was, where can we stay? Where can we stay? Where can we stay? And we are out on 2604, about 15 miles from Hillsborough, 20 miles from Cleveland. So we started acquiring small houses all the way around us.
Mhm.
We now have 11 homes in Hill County.
Wow.
6 of those we turned into Airbnbs. And I do pay those taxes every month. I brought some numbers that are really staggering. They're staggering to me. We pay a total of $75,000 in taxes to Hill County. Now, yes, part of that is property taxes, and we're not talking about property taxes today. So let's break that down. The Airbnb taxes that we paid last year were $5,602. And last year, we only had 3 houses that were posted. We now have 6 houses that are posted. We pay our own advertising. We pay, we have billboards, Facebook, flyers, bridal fairs, community events, networking. I pay about $8,000 in advertising and $25,000 in events that we do. It's come to my attention that there are a lot of Airbnbs in this county that do not pay.
Mm-hmm.
What are the consequences for them? Are there penalties? Do they have to pay extra taxes? How do we go after them? Or do I need to go pay? That's my question. And I know there's not an answer today.
Oh, no, the answer is if you quit paying, I'll come after you too. Don't think that I'm smiles and nice up here. This tax is here, and whether if this commission votes to do away with it, the people that had it before that vote still owe, and they're still going to pay one way or the other.
Because I think this is important to our county. Taxes, taxes, taxes. Nobody wants to pay them, but I love hearing about the benefits. I loved hearing about what we're doing to bring in people to Hill County. And our weddings bring in the most.
They bring in a lot.
They bring in a lot of people from Dallas, Houston, out of state, and they all want to know, where can we stay, where can we stay? And in my little bitty community, there's about 20 Airbnbs.
Tourism's such a huge part of our economy. I just don't think a lot of people understand that. Mm-hmm. What you got?
How many people that have Airbnbs or that have recently started Airbnbs even know this exists?
Great question. I don't know the answer to it.
Is that out there and on the website?
Airbnb.
I understand.
No. So here's the deal. What she's saying is this, when you go on to one of these websites, you go on Airbnb, VBRO, whoever it may be, that organization, that entity through they're arranging this through, they know that this tax exists and they have to remit that to the comptroller of the state of Texas, who then, or remit it to us or whoever it may be. So there's a series of taxes they collect on behalf of the operator. Airbnb is an intermediary, if you will.
We get those funds.
Yeah.
They don't collect them for us, they collect in fees. So when you rent an Airbnb, it's $199 a night, but you're paying $260. Part of that's cleaning fees, part of that's taxes. That money does come to us, and it's our responsibility to turn around and pay this to them. So we pay that, we pay it every month, don't mean that there's one that we do every quarter. We do quarterly. We're also, and this has nothing to do with this meeting, but we're also TDAC compliant. And we pay a tremendous amount of taxes to the comptroller on our mixed beverage taxes and on our food and beverage taxes and our gross taxes. Those all go in, that's part of that 75,000. But the main thing today is I just want everybody on the same page.
Agreed.
We need Airbnbs. Airbnbs are beautiful places to stay and people like them instead of a cabin or instead of a hotel that's 30 miles away. So we need your support in advertising these events that bring in dollars. We need to access to know how to even get on that website that nobody can even say. Can't say it. We need to know what's going on. And I'd like to see this tax continue
Okay.
and reach out to the people that may or may not be paying that tax. We need those dollars. And we need people in this town spending their dollars.
Another thing we have, and I'm gonna get your opinion on since you're standing right there. We have explored hiring somebody to help us manage this program because the problem is everybody's got day jobs. We got X, Y, and Z going on. And we've explored the idea of hiring somebody specifically to help manage this program and with our economic development. Would you be in favor of that if we put somebody in? No, it'd be paid. Mm-hmm.
And they're bringing dollars into Hill County. Hill County's paying them to do a job. And those dollars have to be brought in.
Good too.
And they have to be accountable. They just have to be accountable.
We agree.
And so thank you very much.
Thank you. We appreciate it. We'll have to come see you.
If we have we've charged our taxes with this.
Correct.
It's not being done.
Correct.
How do we make that happen?
I don't know. And those are the routes that I'm going to explore and bring back to you guys because something needs to happen. This can't just continue to languish like this.
Paid somebody to do it.
We're paying them to collect, not manage the program. They're a little bit different. When I say manage the program, what I'm talking about is manage the website, act as an intermediary between the hoteliers, the moteliers, the people paying this tax, finding out what it is that they think is an idea that needs to be, where these monies need to be spent in order to maximize the use of these dollars to get more tourists into Hill County. That's what I think about that. Now, when I say manage, I also include, hey, interacting with the tax assessor collector going, hey, you've done this week, is this getting done? But at the end of the day, tax assessor collector is charged with collecting taxes in Hill County, Texas. That's all there is to it. And this court has previously made it where she's supposed to collect this tax. You ain't going to collect it. I mean, I'm going to have to pay somebody to collect it. Maybe I'll take some of that money out of that budget and just start another office. I don't know what it looks like, but something's got to give. This is, and I like her. I like Chrissy a lot, but this has got to be fixed. And I'm getting more and more calls about it all the time. And I agree with the hoteliers and moteliers. It's unfair that certain people are paying and other people are getting away without it. So that I bring it today for discussion and hope this discussion starts a movement that this is going to start moving in the right direction. And it may start a movement where nobody talks to me anymore. That's okay too. I'll be fine with that. But my goal is to try to get this rectified and get people to understand the importance of it. And it's not just me crying out saying, hey, there's a problem here. I've got my hoteliers from across this county and I could pack this room with them that I've talked to with problems with this, and it needs to be dealt with. So if the tax assessor collector claims she's not going to do this, then we're going to have to come up with another way. And the only place I got money to collect this is in her budget. So it'll have to come out of there and set up a new office. And I don't want to have to do that. That sounds very inefficient and not a good way of doing things. So I hope we can get some assistance from her or her people. And again, you're talking, we estimate less than 15 hours a quarter to dedicate to this. It's not a lot of work. By the software we bought, they go out and locate these merchants. They make the form letters. All you got to do is drop them in the postage machine, put them in the mail. It's not terribly difficult. And we've got everybody at the county willing to help to get this done. It's just not a good practice for the treasurer's office to collect this tax after this court has already said tax assessor collector. I don't want to see it continue. She's got her job to do. She's got plenty going on up there. We need to figure this out. So, okay. And that's the reason we want to do this is because we've seen what success we could do before. Years ago, before the White Bluff Hotel burned, we had a considerable sum of money coming in every year. And we did in October or November of each year after the new budget, we put out a solicitation, a request for proposals. And we wanted to hear from everybody in Hill County. If you had some event going on or you had some way that you thought was novel to spend this money, that we could use it for it has to be spent in the unincorporated areas to put heads in beds. And I think that it's a poorly written statute, but it's there. But you would be amazed at what we've got, we were able to do with it. And I think we could show some real results with what's coming into the county. It's a benefit for all of us. It's a benefit for the taxpayer of Hill County. This is not a tax that the locals paying. It's a tax that's paid by people that come and stay here. And then it's spent locally to encourage more people to come and stay here. So those tax dollars we're bringing in from outside the county. Anyway, that's my 10 cents on this. Is a just thing more than a discussion today. I have to get this started as pleasant as it is, but it needs to be dealt with, and I'm tired of letting it languish, so we're not going to. All right, and that's what I've got to say about that. Anybody else for the hotel motel tax allocation discussion? If not, I'm going to move on to 3, which is discussion action on the county child welfare services non-financial agreement. Gentlemen, you know we have a child welfare board here in Hill County, and each year we enter into a non-financial agreement with those folks. You'll find a copy of that in your packet. It starts October 1 of this year. In September 30th of 2032. I'm trying to imagine 232 in my head, and I'm not having a good time with that. So what this will do is this supersedes a previous policy. It talks about the county's responsibilities and what we need to do. That means we're establishing, maintaining a child welfare board, which we already do. We use that board to provide for the care of any child in protective placement who's under the conservatorship of the Department of Family and Protective Services. Page 2 takes us further onto that. Board responsibilities. This is the board that we appoint to come through us occasionally. And it talks about they assist the Department of Family Protective Service in identifying and meeting the needs of children in the county, explain the child welfare program needs to the county, and they serve in an advisory capacity to the county and the development of local policy to meet the needs of children county covered under the agreement. They've got the DFPS responsibilities, the general terms and conditions. Again, this is relatively similar to a previous order that we have signed, and I would recommend its approval by this court. Okay. Any questions about this?
You made that motion.
I made the motion. Yes. I'm sorry. I misunderstood what you said. I apologize. So yeah, I make the motion. There's a second. Is there further questions, discussion, conversation, generally snide comments? None of the above. Okay. I call the question. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed. Motion carries. All right.
See about that is 2032 is only 7 years away.
That's the part that bothers me the most. I'm going to be honest about it. That's we were supposed to be flying around in cars by now, according to the Jetsons. I don't know what happened. All right, here we go. Actually, I laugh about that, but now they're opening this taxi service in the Northeast at the beginning of next year. That is literally nothing more than an oversized drone. Part of me is intrigued and wants to do it, and part of me is like, no, I don't want to beta test. I don't want to be the gerbil on that deal. So. All right. So number 4 is discuss under action on the FY24 audit report for the Hill County Juvenile Probation. And before I get the question, let me cut it off at the pass. Yes, we are still waiting for the FY23 report for Hill County. Patillo has told us that it's going to show up any day now. We can't force Patillo to do anything other than, well, we can't pay their bill until it shows up. So hopefully that's an impetus for them. But back to the matter at hand is the Juvenile Probation Department. You'll see the independent auditor's report is on page 1 through 3 of this document. There's no material findings, an unmodified opinion, the highest opinion you can get. So congratulations, Chief. Once again, well done. And of course, Susan, we know that you manage these things. So thank you very much for that. Kind of give you an idea of what their finances look like. If you jump over to page number 4, you've got the revenue from the TJD grant funds, and page 6 carries that over. Then you'll see on page, page 5, carry that over. Page 6 is the Texas Juvenile Justice Department grant funds. You're going to notice a trend here. There's a whole lot of different funds. That's because their funding is more screwed up than school funding, as far as I'm concerned. So we have to account for each one of these grants, these funds differently. On page 7 starts the Juvenile Probation Department, Juvenile Justice Department grants, and it runs through it. So anyway, you've got basics of that report. You notice they don't have huge ending balances anywhere. That's intentional. The compliance section is intentionally left blank, no compliance issues. Page 10 is the auditor's report over internal control. Again, it's an unmodified opinion, the highest you can get. So not anything that we're seeing as an issue here. So that is the report for the Juvenile Probation Department for the FY year ended August 31, 2024. Motion and a second to observe and record the Hill County Juvenile Probation Department Annual Financial and Compliance Report for the year ended August 31, 2024. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, I call the question. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, any abstentions? Motion carries unanimously. Moving on to number 5 at this time, we have discussion and approve a grant submission for the Juvenile Justice Truancy Program Prevention Grant. We apply for this every year. I'll make the motion. We apply for it again this year. Motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? This, of course, comes along with the typical resolution. If the money's misspent, misappropriated, that we will refund the state of Texas. That's never happened. I don't expect it to, but we are signing off on that. All right. Any further discussion? If not, I call the question. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed. Any abstentions? Motion carries. Number 6, discuss and approve the opening an interest-bearing account with Wells Fargo for Elawan Pitts Dudick Solar 2 LLC as a part of the road usage agreement between Hill County and Elawan Pitts Dudick Solar 2 LLC dated 6/25/24. Gentlemen, as you recall, this last year, we made modifications again to our road use agreement to protect the county. And one of those is instead of a bond, they can put up cash. That's what they're proposing to do, is put $100,000 in escrow that will be an interest-bearing account. And if there's something on the roads they don't take care of, we have our hands on that money to fix that problem. If they're the great partner we think they'll be and they have everything top tidy, they get their money back with interest at the end of construction. So them's are the issues. Thoughts?
Make a motion.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve. Is there any discussion? Anybody here want to say anything about it? No? Okay, good deal. We're going to go ahead and call the question. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Any abstentions? Motion shall carry unanimously this date. Moving on to number 7, we got our monthly bank balances report for January of 2025. You can see that we started the year with $5,983,782.20 across all accounts. That includes our deposits. Then we had a closing of $7,845,883. Remember, January, February is our heavy collection time for taxes. So you're going to see that number kind of go up instead of down, which is a good thing. So that is the bank balance report for January of 2025. We have a motion and a second to approve. Is there, I said that, is there a second?
Second.
There it is. I knew there was one on that area. I just couldn't find it first. I'll call the question. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Any abstentions? Motion will carry unanimously. Number 8, discussion or approve order adopting Hill County, Texas driveway culvert setting policy. I promised you when we started setting these things, we're going to keep them modified as we find changes. So we previously approved this policy. However, there was a change in language, and that was.
I was going to tell him there's 2 places to sign on those.
Oh, yeah, there is. Thank you.
I always forget to.
Yeah.
Good eyes.
So under section 5.7, we've changed that language to talk about how the property owner shall contact 911 addressing to complete the driveway culvert permit application and pay all necessary fees. So we've changed that language to modify what we're actually doing, not what we want it to do. And then, of course, the culvert application is a part of this, and it's good. There's no changes to it today. So this is modifying, again, catching Scribner's error where we went from 14 gauge to 16 gauge, and then adding the language under section 5, number 7, to talk about what the property owner needs to do or developer needs to do in order to get the culvert permit application through the system. All right. Motion and a second to approve the amended Hill County, Texas driveway culvert setting policy.
So while we're
Discussion.
sure that everybody's clear and I understand. Culverts that are installed, flow, and are in good shape, they are grandfathered in.
Amen. We are not attempting to make anybody replace a functioning culvert. If there's road upgrades, that may that may constitute a need for it. But just because your culvert doesn't have concrete safety ends, there's no need to worry about that. That's not what we're here for. Any new install from this date, well, from the date of the original order forward, has to have the concrete safety ends. But we're not going to cause people to go out and just tear out culverts because they don't look right. I mean, if they function, they work, they're doing their job. There's no reason to take anything out. This is, we're not going to make rules that cause to go back and, hey, the whole county's now got to put safety ends on. A, we couldn't find enough safety ends if we wanted to. And B, I would start selling torches and pitchforks in the courthouse square because that's how we'd have to fund the county after they're finished with us. So again, if there's road construction that necessitates a new culvert, that's one thing. But if it's simply, hey, this culvert doesn't have safety ends, you got to tear it out, put a new one. No, we're not doing that. So does that clarify?
Yeah.
All right, good deal. Yes, sir. All right. Any further questions about the culvert setting policy? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, any abstentions, motion carries unanimously. Number 9, discuss and approve 2 Hill County Commissioner Precinct 3 road permit agreements. Guys, remember we have road permit agreements that anytime anybody's going to operate, a contractor's operate on a road, they come let us know. It's for your safety, our safety, and generally to protect your tax dollars so they don't do dumb things like cut trenches across the road. I'm not going to read these to you because that's the first one. That's the second one. And are you good with all these, Commissioner? Motion and a second to approve the Commissioner Precinct 3 permit agreements. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, any abstention, motion carries. Number 10 is discuss and consider or adopt a resolution designating a management service provider to complete application and project implementation for the hazard mitigation assistance funding administered by the Texas Division of Emergency Management and or Texas Water Development Board. That's a mouthful. What you got for us, Rob? Is that your language? Okay, good deal. So you guys know we've been going out for a hazard mitigation grant. There's funds that come out. I don't think we got awarded anything though, did we? Go ahead. I was like, so we got notice the other day that they awarded that grant funding to counties along the coast and we didn't see anything. Is that correct or?
The survey is all different.
Okay. So is there any need to take action on this today?
This is other disaster DR 4781 in the future. This is in that 5-year period.
Okay. Okay, good deal. How do you guys feel about that? Yeah, no, when I say you guys, I was looking at him. Yeah.
Pretty sure this is the RFPs, yes.
Yeah, correct.
They were the only ones that submitted.
Okay, they're the only ones that submitted. All right, good deal. All right, good deal. I appreciate that. Well, that makes that choice pretty simple. Yeah, there you go. Okay. So what we're going to do then is sorry, I'm going to compose my thoughts for a second. So we're going to then adopt GrantWorks as our management service provider to complete the application and project implementation for the Hazard Mitigation Assistance Program. Questions? I'll make that motion because that's going to be one that we need to word correctly. Second, this is something that we talked about previously. We used to do a lot of this in-house. These grants are getting more and more difficult all the time. We have less and less people and more duties from the state of Texas all the time. Our goal is to try to work with outside administrators to facilitate getting more of these grants and doing it in a more timely fashion. So I'm in favor of this and I'll call the question. All in favor? Yep.
I think you need to clarify the hazard mitigation grant versus the hazard mitigation plan. Because we've got all that in place at the same time, different minutes.
Fair enough. That's a good point you make. Gentlemen, remember, we've previously gone out for a grant for the hazard mitigation plan, which we have to have in order to get eligible for hazard mitigation funds. So this is not the hazard mitigation plan, very clearly. We keep the record for all time, so people know that. But this is simply for the hazard mitigation assistance funding that comes out after a designated disaster. And those funds that aren't spent, that have been allocated but aren't spent, are hanging out there for what they call 404 money, often called 404 money, things that we can get to mitigate problems that we've identified, or hopefully get to mitigate problems we've identified. So the next time we have a 14-inch flooding event or something like that, we don't blow out every road in the county or whatever it is. So that work? All right. So my motion still stands. Does the second still stand? Yes. Wonderful. All right. Any further questions on this? If not, I call the question. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Any abstention? Motion carries. So that brings us back to, I'm going to sign this. That's for that one. So number 11, which is discuss, consider, and select engineering architectural service providers to complete application and project implementation for the hazard mitigation assistance funding administered by the Texas Division of Emergency Management and or Texas Water Development Board.
Shannon,
Okay, that's fine. We're not to the point we have to have an engineer at the moment, but we're gonna, and just to let everybody know, we put this out on the web, we put it out in the paper, and we put it out to direct emails to companies. So we've put it out to quite a few folks. When we're operating under these grants, we're operating in federal procurement rules 200 CR, which we previously adopted. And that requires that we have to make it known to certain historically underutilized businesses. We have to make it known to quite a few different folks. And when we did all that, and we still got zilch for a response. So if we get to the point we need an engineer, let me know, and we're going to go back out for another engineer. But there's no action to be taken on number 11 at this time. All right. Number 12, discuss an action on in-budget expenditures over 5,000 for licenses for the telex dispatch consoles at the Hill County Sheriff's Department. Chris, tell us what we got.
well, that's just so that we can go scripted on the law enforcement side of things, not fire, not road crews, not anyway. Just the law enforcement channels. It gets all the officer safety stuff, CJ stuff off of scanner landing where you can list it on any app. You know, the public's not gonna hear the officer safety stuff. It makes everything in the encryption, just like with a lot of the messaging apps and stuff like that.
How are we going to pay for it?
And it's all within the radio fund.
So remember the radio maintenance fund, the fee that we collect from every member that uses the radio? This is what that money is being allocated towards. So this is something that's, while not budgeted, there is a budget for it, and it won't come out of any other funding source other than the originally intended funding source. So motion and a second. Any further discussion? Questions for?
In cases of emergency, can the county employees still talk on the radio to the sheriff's office?
Yeah, so what will happen is, so every radio has a channel called LIO, interoperability. Every single radio in the county has that, but then all the fire channels will not be encrypted. So you can still go to fire dispatch and communicate directly with dispatch. It's only the law side of things that will be encrypted. There will still be a lot of things unencrypted where you can communicate directly with dispatch.
And to my knowledge, there's channels we have that we don't actively monitor. For example, like precinct 1, precinct 4 channels, those kind of things that we don't have a need to actively monitor. But if somebody needed SO, you're on a motor grader, you see something go down, you need police, they can just turn it to Hill IO and bring them up that way.
Yeah, they go to Hill Fire, IO, currently Hill Law, any of those channels and communicate directly with dispatch. Or if it's really an emergency, press the annoying button, the red button on the top.
No.
It's gonna take you right to the channel, and dispatch is gonna know exactly who you are.
Yeah, no, Tom told me not to press that. He get a lot of new friends with guns and badges. Oh, has it?
It's happening.
Oh, okay. Yeah, when I brought that radio home, they issued it to me. I took the kids downstairs like, all right, you see that button? Do not touch that button. So far they listened. Okay, well, good deal. So that's what it is. We have the funding to cover it. The total cost for the encryption upgrade is $22,848.44. Again, this is going to come out of the line item where we do the radio maintenance fees. And so if this purchase is approved, we'll still have 28,500 remaining in that general that line item. So we're in good shape. Okay. Thoughts? Is there a motion?
It already was.
And say, well, we got sidetracked. Forgive me. All right. In which case I'll call the question. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Any abstentions? Motion moves along. Good deal. 11:13, discuss and approve Hill County Child Services Board Treasurer's Report for January of 2025, I believe is what that should say. It does say 2024 on both. I think it's Scribner's error, both on the board report and on our agenda, but we just put down on the agenda what it said. So we're going to go off that this is January of 25's report, and you've got another great report. They continue to be amazing at fundraising. They've now got a little over $90,754 in their Citizens Bank 501c3 account and about $9,900 out of the Hill County account. So a total of Citizen State of $100,690.44. So they're doing really good. You saw they have donations come in from both for the Christmas Wish program they ran, and then individual business contributions. So they had a total of public donations of this month of $1,150. And then you'll see the clothing allowance that they spent, emergency clothing for families, Rainbow Room, and those expenses. So again, doing great work, and we appreciate them. And I move that we observe and record the Hill County Treasurer's report for January 2025. All right, motion and second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, any abstention, motion carries. Number 14, discuss or take action to declare computer hardware salvage surplus equipment for Hill County Information Technology Department. What gems do you have for us today, sir?
Good, use monitors and,
I needed something for my Commodore 64. You got anything match that?
take care. Anybody needs some prayers and don't have any ink or toner in, hey, we got you.
Yeah. Okay. And so what you see in front of us, we've got a list of that hardware. They've been so kind just to provide that. We appreciate you guys keeping on top of it. Most of it's towers. Just to answer the question that's natural from this, none of these will have hard drives in them because Philip's got a really cool machine that crushes them. So if you ever get really bored, you want to help Philip out, he'll let you run the hard drive crusher. So anyway, is there a motion to approve? We have a motion and a second to approve, declaring computer hardware equipment from IT as salvage property. So that begs the next question is how you want to get rid of it. Okay.
Make a motion.
Okay. Motion and second. Time for discussion on this. All right. So salvage property. And we know that if we declare something the county owns, salvage or surplus, we're usually required to go under 262 of the local government code and how we dispose of it. I think some of that's ridiculous. And we've had this conversation before when it comes to culverts. You know, who's going to buy a used culvert? It was pretty much no good when we pulled it out of the ground. So I started looking through some AG opinions, and there's a Ken Paxton opinion 0420. And what it talks about is the government code 263-152 of local government code authorizes the county to periodically sell the county's salvage surplus, which is something that has still a value for its originally intended use, or salvage, which it has no value for its originally intended use, by competitive bid or auction. Salvage property is personal property. That means not real property, not land. It's anything else other than items routinely discarded as waste. And that's what we're going to come back to in a second. That because of use, time, accident, or any other cause is so worn, damaged, or obsolete, it has no value for the purpose which is originally intended. When a county attempts to sell salvage property by competitive bidding or auction but receives no bids, the county may dispose of the property through a recycling program. So we got to go out for bid, don't get it. Then we can take it down to a Frank's or a Lipschitz or whatever of the world. Under which the property is collected, separated, processed, returned to former raw materials. A commissioner's court possesses implied authority to utilize recycling programs for the disposition of routinely discarded county waste subject to other applicable law. Whether culverts the county removes from real property are routinely discarded waste presents a facts question for the commissioner's court to determine and cannot be resolved in attorney general opinion. What I'm asking you guys to do is, if it's routinely regarded as waste, we discard these things, which I've never heard of us repurposing a culvert we took out of the ground. Am I wrong? Then I think there may be an avenue for us to not have to waste the time putting this out for bid, because we've got to put a lot of administrative time into selling culverts with holes in them or rusted in half. And I think there is a place for that for these computers as well that don't have any value outside of it. I understand that may be a bridge too far for some folks, but I do want to start the conversation of why are we going through this trouble to get rid of junk culverts or junk, like some of the stuff we're going to talk about the sheriff's office in a minute. They're cables. They're literally cables that went to a VCR on one end and an old recorder on the other end. They have absolutely no value to anybody on the face of the earth except for the scrapyard. And I didn't know this, but the sheriff found out for us. They'll take those cables down there. Apparently the materials in them or something. So we would normally have thrown those away years ago. It's the same thing with cages that come out of cars. We're required when we decommission a police vehicle, if it doesn't go to another agency, to remove all the stickers, lights, sirens, and cages out of them. You can't reuse those cages. I mean, they were built for a specific design car, and the way we hold on to cars for 100 years, there's nothing around. So we have a pile of those that were just discarded in the corner of a barn. Again, I don't think anybody's going to buy those. It's salvage waste. My curiosity is, what information would this court need in order to declare something as something that is routinely discarded as waste? do we need to put together a policy going forward that puts some guidelines on what that would be and make those findings? Because I think it would save us a lot of administrative time for stuff like that. Now, I'm not talking about, now the sheriff has some seats for the front of a Tahoe. You can still sell those. Somebody's going to buy them seats, all right? But there is certain things, and I'm pretty certain a computer with no hard drive in it would be right up that alley. That is routinely discarded waste. We keep them for about 5 years. Their end of useful life comes up, it's gone. We have to pull the hard drives under law. We have to destroy those hard drives. So they're junk. They're just basically a plastic case with metal in it. I don't know where
How much does it cost for employee time to fill out this stupid sheet?
well, we got to do that sheet for inventory. So sorry, I can't get rid of that one. But yeah, we have to do that. We have to keep an inventory. It's important. But the question is, do we want to, I think we do, but do we want to go down the road of setting a policy and calling things routinely discarded waste to save the administrative time in front of the court? There's another opinion on this subject too, that's back from Dan Morales. And it's DM 0268, and it's the donation of salvage surplus property by county commissioners, not unconstitutional. And they may adopt may dispose of, by donation. I'm not saying donate anything. That the secondary attorney general opinion came up. But I think that, some things are going to be routinely discarded waste. So I'm not trying to cut into anybody's business, but how they normally sell these things. You want to give them an overview of how this works on these computers, how you have to do it?
Whenever we decommission their computers.
Yeah.
Sure. So generally speaking, computers have a 3 to 5 year lifespan. We will, we always purchase a warranty with those computers. So usually it's once that warranty has expired, then we will, plan with the office, with the person to go and, install the computer. Usually, newer operating system, newer hardware, generally speaking, faster and so forth. When we pull the old computer out, we pull the hard drive out of it, we have a wipe machine. So basically it wipes the hard drive out where there's no data on there that can be read. And on top of that, we also have a hard drive crusher that Judge Lewis mentioned. Kind of a neat thing to watch, but it destroys that hard drive, and then we take the computer. Generally speaking, we don't get a list. We run it through commissioner's court, and upon the court's approval, and we'll take it over to Cadets and they'll auction it off for us. That's how it's going to go.
And when they auction it off, they just make a big pile of these things and go, this is lot 1, lot 2.
Correct. It's a big pile, and what we've done is we take it to them, we pile it on some pallets, and then we'll take pictures of it, and then they have a list of, it's monitors, computers, printers, scanners.
And what's our average take on a pallet of this fine equipment?
Under $10. Honestly.
Yeah, it's not a lot. My curiosity is any place that we can recycle computers, is there, I don't know of any place locally we can take them to.
From time to time, Hilco in Itasca has opened up their facility to take electronics for recycling. That's maybe once a year when they do that. We generally like to get rid of equipment 2 to 3 times a year. We could store it for a whole year, but we would have a big pile of stuff.
Goodwill, Waco, take it to the site.
Yeah, but I mean, if the county starts showing up with they're probably going to say, hey, King's Eggs.
The sheriff.
Frank's takes computers?
Bottom, they're not gonna give me money for them, they said they'll take them.
Christmas lights, you get.
Take Christmas lights.
Yeah,
I'm gonna call them, see if they want the ones in the trees over here. Squirrels are eating half. So, okay, yeah. Yeah, I'd love to. Yeah, if you may approach.
It's obviously not about the money.
Yeah, it's not at all. It's just if they'll take that kind of stuff, because I would think that we could make a declaration based on the facts of what that you just heard, how that process works, that we routinely discard these things as waste. We are going through the 263 process, but getting $1 to $10 for a pallet, and we're hauling all that over there, doing all the time. I hate to cut into that dollar that Mr. Cadets may get, and God bless him for doing this, frankly. He's a great man for doing that. But he surely has to be losing his rear on this deal. He's only getting $1 out of that. So if you look at this is the stuff they'll take. They've got aluminum, and they got 12 different types of it, brass, commercial collections, copper, electronics. They'll take cell phones, hard drives. Well, we're not going to do that. Laptops, memory, PC boards, low grade boards, PC towers.
Monitors listed on there. Sometimes that can be sticky.
No, they were clear not to put monitors on there. Yeah, no monitors. Close. All right. But, you don't want to pass that around, just kind of look what they take. So I'm open either way today, but I think in the future, I want to see this, make a finding that this is routinely discarded waste and we have the ability to either go try to recycle it, or if it's unrecyclable, then we 86 it.
I do think you should do it on a case by case basis.
Okay.
Instead of having-
Fair enough. That makes sense.
That way you're actually making the finding back.
Okay. So on this, and I'm gonna try this out the first time then, I'm going to make a motion that this court find that the aforementioned items, absent the monitors, because we can't grid them like that. Where did that go? I had it.
We already had a motion.
Oh, did we? What was them? Oh, we did. Sorry, I got ahead of myself. All right. So the first thing is we're declaring them salvage
Right.
surplus property. So
And
we've
we're
got a
selling.
motion for that to declare salvage surplus property. So that's number 14. I'm going to call for the question.
We already did that.
You
We're
were-
on this one,
You're on,
the selling them.
we are on that?
Scotty and Larry.
Sure enough, they did. I didn't realize we did that. Forgive me.
Now I can take it away.
No,
He wants to take away his motion.
Well, what I'd like to do is I'd like to amend your motion, sir. I'd like to amend your motion that we declare the computer hardware that's previously declared as salvage as routinely discarded as waste after hearing from our IT director and the process through which we decommission these computers and we dispose of them several times a year. That would allow us to take any materials that would be classified as routinely discarded as waste to a local recycle yard for recycling. That's my amendment to your motion. Second stands? Okay. Any further questions? There's a hands going up back there. I'm like, are you serious? All right, cool. All right. Well, in which case I'm gonna call the question. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Number 16, discuss and approve action on voter fraud grant resolution. Gentlemen, this is the same grant that I brought to you last year. Did we got so far into it, then they told us no. Again, it's the same. You don't get what you don't ask for in life. So what we're attempting to do is find some money for an upcoming project, which is the voter check-in, not the voter machines, but the check-in machines. Those are at end of life. We're going to spend $100,000 replacing them. The amount of this grant request is $108,000 and change. And basically the resolution you're approving says the same as before. In the event of loss or misuse of Office of the Governor funds, Hill County assures the funds will be returned. They designate me as the grantee's authorized official and approves the body to apply for that grant. Motion is second to approve the grant resolution for the voter fraud grant. Any further questions? If not, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Okay, there's that grant number. Good deal. Number 17, discuss and or action on purchasing 24 Dell rugged laptops, docking stations, power adapters for the Hill County Sheriff's Office. I want to start this conversation with this, and everybody at home, everybody writing this for the paper later. I know we see the sheriff's name a lot on here. He's not being irresponsible. He's got to fix a bunch of problems he's got down there. And there's some problems that frankly showed up the state cost for us. This is one of those problems the state cost for us. We, for a long time, have had laptops and vehicles. It's an officer safety issue. It's a productivity issue. It works well. However, the fine people at Microsoft are going to discontinue support of 11. 10.
In October this year.
Yeah. So we're going to have the ability to have 11. Well, these old Panasonics, we can't take them to 11. And if we can't take them to 11, we can't be compliant with the criminal CJIS, which we call the criminal justice. If we're not compliant with them, we're not eligible for any of these grants we just talked about. That's a little over 30 million over the last 18 years I've been here. Then furthermore, they can come out and take our telex out. Telex is what we use to communicate. I'll say that. And there's something else they can take away from us. Was it the, I don't remember what it is.
The ability to run,
We've actually,
Yeah. So we don't have a choice on this. The sheriff is not trying to nickel and dime us to death. I promise you. All of us have had long conversations. Nobody wants to come to this court and ask for any money. And believe me, nobody wants to do it. This is something that we've tried to find ways to do things. What we've got though, is we've got a bid of approximately $80,000, $80,606.40. We have to do this. We don't have a choice. This wasn't a problem created by the sheriff. This is a problem created by the state of Texas and, some of our software companies. What our proposal is to do this, if you guys will agree to it. We are going to forestall some planned replacements in IT to the tune of $40,000. So we have computers that we run, we heard earlier, for a lifespan about 5 years till the warranty runs out. We can push that out another year. We can get another year out of 99% of them. We're not that worried. That would allow us to free up approximately half of this $40,000 from the IT budget. The other 40,000, I would have to come up without a contingency to make this work. Again, I'm not coming to you, hey, every time $5 for this, $10 for this. It's just as we find these problems, we have to address them. There's not a lot of federal grant money at the moment. Matter of fact, there's a pause on a lot of federal expenditures at the moment, and that's something to be determined how that's going to affect us. All that said and done, we've got some money to do this. We need to tackle it. I would recommend we just go ahead and do it now. That's my 10 cents. Open the floor to comments.
The laptop we have right now. What do we do with them?
Richard, yeah, the laptops that we have right now, they would be pulled out, have the hard drives pulled, wiped, crushed, and then, we could either dispose of them through the new proposed, salvage method. Or
$10 a month. We'll pay for it.
In the laptop, rebuildable?
No, they're really not.
The particular laptop that we have right now is a Panasonic Toughbook. These things were advertised originally, like they would throw them against the wall, pull them up, and they still work. So a lot of people have moved towards ruggedizing their machines. And the basics of that, you remember the hard drive in your computer was usually the only moving part because it had 2 disks. Well, they've got away from that. They got with solid state hard drives now. There's not the moving parts anymore. So we don't need to expend the funds for this Panasonic Toughbook stuff. We've got the cheap and options were looked at. I promise you, there were way more expensive options than this we went to. But yeah, those books are at the end of their life. We've had them 5 to 7 years, most all of them.
Yes, sir. They were. I will be with Hill County 5 years next month. They were already here.
Yeah, I can remember when Sheriff Lyons was here, we had some of them. Yeah. So, yeah. Yeah.
Since the new administration has been in Kira, it has almost completely disappeared.
No, I pointed our jail captain how he went from 200 an hour down to 0.08. Epic.
I'm not crazy, like till this week. Thank you.
And I think there's a lot of that, and you make a very valid point. Where the sheriff is saving his money is better management of his budget. We've poured $2 million in the sheriff's office over the last 3 years before Sheriff Barnes got there, because they keep having these epic fails. I don't know how else to say it. That stuff's not the problem anymore. They've got a management team, a management structure that's actually accountable, and I can call any of those people and get them on the horn, talk to them where they're at. So I see your point, and I do agree with it that the savings in other areas, this is not going to be that bad of a deal. We're looking at probably 5 to 7 year lifespan on these books. They're going to have the warranty to take them out to 5 years. So if anything happens, Dell's going to stand behind it. We've had a great relationship with Dell. They've really stood behind their products in the past. We haven't had troubles with them. And these computers meet the requirements for is it Odyssey or Navigator? What do they call the case management system on their end? Odyssey. Okay. Gotcha. So it will work with our current case management system. It meets the hardware requirements for it.
It should have been turned in and on this year's budget too.
What's that?
These should have been turned in and be on this year's budget.
They should have. You're right. The last sheriff should have done this and put it in this year's budget. You're 100% accurate.
The only thing to speak to that, Commissioner, was literally the week after we had finalized our fiscal year 24-25 budget. The very next week is when we got audited by the CJS auditor from the state, and that's when this became a requirement.
Yeah. IT didn't know anything about it until that point.
But that was still before we finalized the budget, so
yeah,
they could have said something then.
Yeah, I think they should have, but I don't attach any blame to IT. They didn't find out about this till later, and they've done everything they can. Yeah. Okay.
Thank the sheriff's department.
Good deal. So I've got a motion. There's a second. All right. So motion and a second to purchase. Yes, ma'am. To have discussion.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, Dell's is a DIR vendor. So apparently they enjoy a good relationship with the state of Texas. So what we have then is a motion and a second to approve the purchase of 24 Dell Pro Rugged 14 RBI 14250s, 24 docking stations, 24 power supplies. Yeah, for a grand total of $80,606.40. 40,000 not to be played out of the hardware maintenance line item in the Hill County IT budget. And well, actually, everything's going to be paid out of the hardware maintenance line item, and then we will backfill that with the remaining $40,606.40 from the contingency line. Okay. Make sense? She'll figure it out. It'll be fine. All right, good deal. In which case, all in favor? Aye. All opposed? Any abstentions? We're moving forward. I love to hear it. All right. Number 18, discuss an action on commissary service agreement with the Commissary Express. So I think just a remedial course on commissary. Commissary is one of those things that really falls outside of the purview of the Commissioner's Court. That is the sheriff's occupation. He takes care of it. There's some pretty on point Attorney General opinions going back to Jim Maddox regarding his ability to do that. So our sheriff has gone out, and this is a informational item for you guys to let you guys know what he's doing. He's going to go out and post notice in the newspaper, but he's going to change about 3 things down there. You want to talk about that, Sheriff?
So we're gonna change and be more efficient. We've got contracts that date back to 2011, 2017. They're still they just renew every year because nobody goes to look at them. So commissary, we're changing, phone service, we're changing, food service, probably gonna change, we're waiting on the quote there. And tablet service for the inmates, we're changing that as well. So you have all that in front of you. We just feel that it's the best, most ethical way to operate our deal. That's why we're going with locally go with there. Now, the commissary, we can table that until I get it advertised or whatnot, and then I'll let you know if I get any other more bids.
And this commissary that does have the bid in front of us, they're a local company, aren't they? Sherman? Okay. Yeah. So they're Texas. They're going to be somewhat responsive. They're not a multinational. All right. So what we've got in front of us today is this commissary agreement. Again, it doesn't require the Commissioner's Court approval, but the sheriff, trying to be as transparent as he promised he's going to be, is letting the folks know. So, that he's going out for bid, give anybody an opportunity to do it. We appreciate that, Sheriff. There hadn't always been this kind of transparency down there. So thank you. And then there's another thing the sheriff informed me of too, is we've had a contract with GTL for a lot of years to provide phone service, and used to that phone service provided some money back to the jail commissary account. But there was a recent ruling from the FCC.
The county basically gets 0 money, phone service, therefore, we've talked to several companies, so we've went with the one that we felt matched our values. And they're in the room today if you'd like to ask any questions.
Yeah, let's talk about it. What do you guys got? Okay.
Yeah. We have some families around here. Ellis County is one of our.
Okay.
Clients. We're partnering with you and everything that we provide. We got some new technology, part of us being the tablets that the sheriff talked about. We also have, it's unique to the industry, that we have an investigative squad that we offer to the sheriff department at no cost. Everything we're going to provide to the sheriff at no cost.
Okay.
So we think it's best. The service is going to be even better because of the fact that we're in this area already. So if you got questions on any of that stuff, the other features, the functionality of the product itself.
I guess mine's going to go to more of the administrative end. Are you guys members of a bidding cooperative or buy board or something like that?
No.
Okay, good deal. Okay, good deal, good deal. Okay. So what does this look like for hardware changes in the jail? What are you guys going to have to bring in? You said there's no cost to the sheriff, but are you going to be able to utilize the existing hardware?
We'll take a look at your pipes, and then we'll try to do an evaluation and find out what we're going to need. All that's just going to be the pipes that come in. When I say pipes, it's just the wires that we have to put in. But that's all going to be our cost.
Okay.
Outside of that, everything else is We just hook up to you guys and let it go.
Okay, good
The
deal.
bad part of it is, I told the sheriff is, with new technology, securely, you can log in from anywhere, so the sheriff could be, the sheriff, the captain, and the chief can all be on duty 24/7.
Yay, said nobody.
Yeah, you are, right?
Yeah. So going to the commissary service agreement at this point, it's separate things here. We're not going to take action on this at the moment. Sheriff's going to go out and he's going to tell us he's going to put notice in the paper and we'll bring it back when he does that. Number 19 is discussion action to approve contract with Tech Friends for inmate tablet services. And then number 20 is discussion action to change the current telephone service provider from ViaPath to Correct Solutions for Hill County. So since we just had that explanation on number 20, I'm going to stick on it for just a second. So there's no money changing hands here on our part whatsoever. And is there a contract in here?
There's a contract, with Tech Friends in there, I believe.
Yeah, and then here's the one for okay, good deal. You've had a chance to review these?
I have looked at them. There was some indemnification language.
Coffee? It's going around this morning.
That I would just probably ask them to put to the extent allowed by law in front of it. That will fix that.
Okay.
I do have a question. Will the prosecutor's offices, kind of victims coordinator, we have logins to be able to monitor the
Absolutely. Yes, sir. And the sheriff's department can access or restrict or provide access to anybody they want. I mean, on part of the system, all of the system, whatever piece that y'all need. That's records will be sent back and forth, securely. So yes,
We do a lot of the monitoring.
yes.
Who is the current service provider?
ViaPath?
That's the new company name. with GTL.
GTL, I got you. Okay.
If they just changed name from.
Okay, so
And that company's.
You need a motion?
It needs service.
yeah,
We'll make a motion.
When you call him, and he'll get responsible for any day, this is problem.
okay, so we have a motion to approve a contract between the Hill County Sheriff's Office, Hill County, and Correct Solutions. I want to get the name right here. With one amendment needed to that contract, which would be under the indemnity and indemnification of liability on page 8, section 6.1. At the end of that language, it would read to the extent provided by law. So that last sentence would be customer shall indemnify, defend, and hold Correct Solutions harmless from liability in connection with any damage or claim resulting from its gross negligence in connection with the placement, installation, maintenance, or repair of the equipment and services or the value-added features to the extent provided by law. So if they'll agree to that, we can get that.
Fine, yes, sir.
Okay, cool. That's a motion. There was a second. All right. Any further discussion on this? Hearing none, I call the question. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed?
So that
Motion
was number
carries.
20, right?
Yes, ma'am. It's number 20. So we got to go back to number 19, which is discuss an action to approve a contract with Tech Friends for inmate tablet services. Now, right now, Sheriff, the current tablets are through GTL. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead. You got the floor, sir.
So, we've had several companies come through and pitch their items and their calls. We chose Tech Friends, the best for our jail. The security of their tablets just make sense for our operation. With the number of employees we have, other companies, you would have to charge the tablets outside the tanks. The officers would have to roll the tablets around, check them out to inmates, take them back up. Tech Friends is secured on the wall, and they secure into the charging station. That also has a kiosk on it and a phone attached to it, and it has facial recognition.
Oh, wow.
Or PIN identification before it will release that tablet. They also showed us that they had an inmate in Houston, I think, where it was, somewhere in that area, who literally beat this thing with a ladder, trying to get into it to get wires and tablets, and it held up and it didn't break. So that was a plus for us security wise.
Oh, yeah.
And the tablets are pretty much indestructible except for the screen. If you wanted to break the screen, you can break it, but you're not getting into it, getting into the electronic data.
Okay.
They 3D laser printed the cases that go around them, so they're pretty neat.
Oh, wow.
We feel like, they work well with Craig Solutions. We need a phone company before the tablet company can come in, and we need the phone company and the tablet company before the commissary company can come in. Because they order commissary off the tablets, which goes to the phone company, so we gotta have them all on the same page, is basically what we want.
I got you.
And it's gonna take some time for them to get their stuff ordered, if they need switches and things like that.
So we approve it today. We're still got a couple of weeks to go.
Got at least 14 days, because they gotta wait for.
Yeah.
For bids on the.
Okay.
commissary.
Good deal.
Yeah, we got,
Okay, good deal.
and then I just like the board's opinion on it, they should send 30-day letters.
That's a great question. So as you know that we currently have contracts with GTL that we're going to have to break those contracts. There, as long as we provide 30 days notice, I believe is a contract read, that we don't have any penalties for breach of that. So I would say if we're going to approve this, we need to date to when's it going to go into effect? Are we going to say March 1 or whatever? But yeah, obviously we need to give that 30-day notice once we approve this. So I don't think that we can approve the contract today, but it ain't going to go in effect until the other guys are out of there.
So we're looking at least 30 days, 14 days now, so 44 days
Okay.
at least.
All right. So April Fool's Day. Yeah. What if they don't take it seriously? Yeah. So yeah, April 1st. That's sure. Or we can, whatever date you guys want to pick, just, write the letter out. And it's about April 1st. Yep. We'll shoot for April 1st then. If you get with them, get that letter drafted, because you know how I write letters. They're not nice. So anyway. All right, we have a motion and a second to approve a contract with Tech Friends for inmate tablet services and send a 30-day notice to the current provider, ViaPath GTL, that we're terminating our contract with them. Bueno. All right. What else we got? Anything? Discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Any abstentions? Motion shall carry unanimously. I'm going to sign this right now before it gets too far out of the way. Okay, what else? What else? What else? Here you go. You guys got a little narrow area up on top there to sign on the second page. So while I'm doing this, we're going to move back to 21, and that's discussion approved request authorization for the Hill County Sheriff's Department to apply for George G. and Alva Hudson Smith grant. This grant would be for bulletproof vests. Again, it's a safety issue for our officers. We don't have the money. The vests we found were not, they weren't maintained. I mean, frankly, these things got lifespans like everything else. A vest is not something you buy and it's good for the next 100 years. It's got a shelf life. And I'll be honest with you, I wouldn't want to go out on the street wearing something that was outside of its shelf life. Is it going to work? Are you going to come home to your wife or not? I'm not interested in that. So they've been trying to find ways to get money. Again, we've been tight, but there's some problems. So the sheriff brought this to us and wants to apply for the Smith Foundation grant, and I'm in favor of it.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve the Sheriff Department's application to the George G. and Alva Hudson Smith Foundation grant. Sheriff, anything to add on that one?
I would say I appreciate the acceptance, but this grant doesn't pay out until September if we're even accepted. There are going to be multiple applicants.
We've got some other things behind the scene we're looking at too. Again, we have to fix the situation. We're going to apply for grants. There's no guarantees we're going to get it. One of the things we've looked at is, well, if we at least get accepted or we know it's going to get it, then we could maybe use the money internally and backfill. These vests can't wait. It's not something that we're going to wait till we get a grant for it. So.
Resident, taxpayer, business owner, Friday, he just reached out, said that he is a successful businessman, has business worldwide, offices, and lives here, cares about the community, wants us to be able to provide services for the county that the county may not be able to afford. I don't know what kind of number he's about to throw out at me, but anything is grateful. But I advise him that anything donation that he'd like to make that's come from the court, he is with that.
Okay.
So he's going to email me whatever proposal he has. He wants to donate something towards these vets.
We got some great people.
Something towards some camera systems as well, with LPRs that we could use throughout the county. On the county road, apparently we're about 5 feet.
Interesting.
Yeah. So I listened to him, he seemed pretty genuine about what his goal was for nothing but to help us out in the county. Is that his father's a retired police PD officer.
Okay.
Lives here in the county on his property with him, so hopefully that comes through. I just want the court to know that the sheriff's office, my staff, we were working hard to find funds other places. Because I know that it probably gets old that we keep coming and asking for things, but there is not enough to operate and move forward with our office without letting you know that we have to add these things. I mean, that's there's just something you have to have, and there's really nothing computers, there's nothing I can do about those
We know.
unexpected things, but we're gonna be transparent, we're gonna keep coming forward. It's something we have to absolutely have. We're just gonna keep coming.
Cool.
And I apologize to be a burden on that.
Yeah. We appreciate what you're doing. We
You
know.
don't need to know the lack of what is not there.
Yes.
That makes sense.
No, that makes a lot of sense.
Do you know which one? Or is it mine?
That's yours. No, King's X, you get it now. You touch it.
So-
No take backs.
With regard to the vest,
Yes, sir.
is it prudent to wait on funding?
No,
Or can we just go ahead and get those upgraded and spend the money?
we're working on a game plan. I'd like to come back to you with that. We're working on a game plan and we'd love to come back when we got all the details hammered out. Thank you, sir. But for right now, the vote in front of us is to apply for allow the Hill County Sheriff to apply for the George G. and Alva Hudson Smith grant. And we have a motion in a second. Is there any further discussion? If not, all in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, any abstentions, motion carries. Number 22, and this goes along with something we've talked about for a long time. We need a shooting range around here. We don't have one. The sheriff has to have one. They've got to qualify their guys. So this is discuss and approve department range membership for extreme tactical training solutions from the Hill County Sheriff's Department. This is a shooting range that caters to law enforcement. They are not in Hill County. They're next county north. Actually, it's Ellis County. Is it Maypearl? Okay. And what the deal is, we need a place to train. We don't have a shooting range in the county. We've looked at it. We've looked at it. Sooner or later, then we don't have a solution today. We're going to have to do something. Yeah. Okay.
Got a meeting tomorrow on that, so.
There you go. I like this. Cool. Cause we got a lot of 4-H kids that are pretty good shots too. So, anyway, okay, great. So that is before us at the point and, there you go. You're going to find it here. Identified a need for dedicated training facility, enhanced firearms proficiency, tactical response and operational readiness. And so that's a total cost of department range membership of $7,400. So that's for the year. And they secure this membership will provide deputies with year-round access to critical training resources, improving officer effectiveness and public safety. And that is the request before us today.
That's day and night. Accessibility. The range is about open at night, public, but it is open.
Interesting.
It's not required by people, but it is required by me. We will do a qualification.
Good.
So we need a place that allows us to do that qualification. We'll do low light training, some courses out there. So that allows us to have that training available with the location for people as well.
Maybe so. We'll talk to him. Maybe so.
I'll make a motion to accept it.
We have a motion to accept and a second. So there's a motion to accept, motion and wow, coffee. Need more coffee. Something in the air. Yeah, we have a motion and a second to accept entering into a contract between Hill County, Texas and Extreme Tactical Solutions, ETTS, for use of their training facilities at Maypearl. Is there any other questions regarding this action item? Yes.
There was no line on there.
Zero.
No line for, yeah, I guess you can take it up, but you can't use Leo's funds for it, so.
Oh, they're not allowed. Okay.
That was our only other option.
We're going to have to figure out how to pay for it. I don't have it off the top of my head. We're going to sit down with Susan and we'll get it worked out. So, all right. I'll call the question.
Bring some funds back in on surplus.
That might be helpful. Yeah, that definitely might be helpful. All right, I'll call the question. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, any abstentions? Motion carries. Pass that one around. That takes us on to number 23. Woo. Ooh, only 10 to go. Oh, maybe. Yeah, Bill, might bit peckish. Might need you to take over for me here.
Would have been through it. Yeah.
Yeah, you know what? Exactly right. I should have let him do this. We could have been out of here an hour ago. All right, 23, discuss an action to declare a 2016 Ford Transit Van 350 a salvage property or salvage surplus property for Hill County Sheriff's Office. This is a fine vehicle. We only drove it to church on Sundays. It's an almost mint condition, I would think. And other lies we could tell about it, but I would make a motion that we approve declaring this as surplus property. I think this van's got close to 200 something thousand miles.
It's 206,694 miles. It is a 2016 Ford Transit van.
And we ain't got all the good out of it, but we got a lot of the good out of it.
Everybody wants to drive. Major issue, it's probably-
We guarantee you can get it off our lot.
Yeah, I didn't send somebody go to the end of it.
I don't either. I'd rather see this thing move down the road to the next happy home. So
Correct. Watching that. Okay.
I have a motion and a second to declare this a surplus property. Any further discussion? I hear-
Question.
Yeah,
And these funds and the funds that you got from the past salvage equipment you sold the last auction, can it be put toward the 7,400?
I believe so. Yes, sir.
Yeah, anything else can go into contingency to help pay for the 40,000 that we're putting up against the 80,000.
Some of those funds were bought, they were bought with all different pots of money. We have some research to do to see what we can do.
So
One
for,
of the things was bought with the commissary, one was bought.
that's
with
a great
federal,
point.
One was bought out of their law enforcement, so.
They're going to have to unwind a few things. The money that comes back to the general fund. Yeah, when they unwind it, the money that comes to the general fund can be used to offset the cost of the things that we've just done. But like, I'm pretty certain, being here when this happened, that this van was bought out of commissary. That's my memory of this. Not this one?
No.
Oh, isn't it?
No, the old school van, the 2010 that still somehow ran and drove, I don't know how it brought, but that was the one that was bought out of commissary.
Wow. Okay. I'm updated myself. Okay. I thought this one, no. Okay. So that was it. So you should be free and clear on this one. Did y'all spray paint free candy on the side before it left? I mean, yeah, no, Ford overdid themselves on that one. Okay, well, we have all in favor of the motion to declare the 16 Ford Transit van as surplus property, say aye. Aye. All opposed, any abstention, motion carries. And then number 24 is discussing or actually selling that van that we just declared surplus, and it's the sheriff would like to do it through Mr. Cadditt's auctioneering service. And
Just with the understanding that the county gets started with no percentage.
Yep.
Everything's passed on to the buyer.
buyer's fee only. Got it. All right. So that is my part of my motion that we approve for Mr. Cadditt's to sell this online via electronically, and there being no fees to the county for the sale. And there's a second from Commissioner Hawkins. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, I call the question. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, any abstention, motion carries. 25, discussion or action to declare old equipment as salvage surplus for the Hill County Sheriff's Department. Who has not seen the video? You saw the video.
Oh, yeah.
I've
I
seen
went
the
up to-
video.
Went up and looked at it.
It is insane, the amount of junk. And now some of this stuff is literally, we got to have a roll-off dumpster, or at least start stuffing in dumpsters. Okay, cool. The other stuff, though, is some of the things we talked about earlier. There are some things that are routinely discarded. For example, the cages in cars. When we sell a police car to a non-law enforcement entity, sheriff's department car, we are required to basically decommission it. We got to take out the cages, lights, radios, all that. The problem is all those cages just got thrown up in the corner of a building. Sheriff, how many do you think are in there?
Cages? Oh.
Yeah.
Over 60.
And they have no value because here's the deal. We're,
$7,400.
I will bring some money back in.
yeah, yeah. These cages, they don't have all the original bolts. They don't have the original connectors. They were built for models of car that no longer work. So you can't put them in, like, it's not like we're going to cut them and retrofit them. They just don't. They're scrap metal is what they are. What's that? Yes, sir. They're metal.
take it to a scrap yard.
That's where I'm going. I love the way you think. Love the way.
Buy some vests.
Well, we got some other things to cover. We're working on that. Yeah. So what I'm going to ask you to do is, guys, what we got is a list of things in here, request to surplus or salvage. So, sheriff has put together, nope, that's that one. Sorry, wrong one. This is going to be a series of, it's a scrap metal. It's those cages. It's, I don't know how many miles of cords and cables you have for old VCR cameras that we'll never use for anything. Yep, they'll take them. So we have to be specific, but I would ask that once we declare this stuff salvage, because it has no beneficial use for its originally intended purpose, that we make that. And then secondly, the second action is we find that this is routinely discarded waste. And because you're not going to sell it, you're going to take it to the recycling yard and let them deal with it. And that would be the easiest, fastest way administratively to deal with it. That's my personal opinion. Okay. Like some of those cages are out of LTDs.
It's nasty. I mean,
it's bad.
It's like, you know, the kid that throws all the stuff in the closet that says the room's clean. We need the whole place clean.
Gotcha. So I'm going to make a motion that we declare the cages, the cables. What else was in there, Sheriff, that would need to be salvaged?
Some old screens, like they're little bitty screens, but they came from the wire, that went to the wires that went to the old VHS recording system that we used to have from back in the day. The only thing, I guess, I don't know, did I put the Tahoe seats on there?
I don't have that list. Yeah, I don't have that list in front of me. We talked about them previously. So,
Should be.
well, here's, then I'm going to make my,
That's right here.
okay, good. So here's,
I didn't think include that, because these can be, we can sell these.
yeah,
We can make these.
just to let you know, when we say Tahoe seats, it ain't like we got 2 or 3. 11 rear Chevrolet Tahoe seats for auction, 3 middle consoles for Tahoe, obsolete and older models for auction, and 5 single seats for a Tahoe. I don't know if we're pulling out the passenger seats or what, but what I'm getting at, let's break this into 2 orders to make it clear for the record. The first is the salvage property. I make a motion that we declare salvage the materials that are currently stored in the sheriff's barn, to include, but not limited to, the cages pulled out of decommissioned law enforcement vehicles, the cables, screens, and other equipment associated with the old VCR cameras, and any other scrap metal to be found in that building. The old washer and dryer.
Prior in the jail, maybe from the old, I'm not sure. But I can't fix the roof in that building without all that gone.
Yeah. So, and to get the obsolete kitchen equipment, which it no longer has any, it just has no purpose for what it was originally intended. So that's my motion to declare that stuff salvage. We'll come back to the other stuff in a minute. Motion in a second. It's reason we have recorders,
etc.
No, it's got to be kind of plain written. So motion in a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, any abstentions? So that's salvage property. Back on number 25, again, we're looking at surplus property. It is my motion that we declare surplus 11 rear Chevrolet Tahoe seats, 3 middle consoles for a Chevrolet Tahoe, 5 single seats for a Chevrolet Tahoe. And that is what I'm asking. We declare surplus, because that stuff we can put out for auction and sell. Okay. Motion second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, motion carries, which means now I have to divide number 26 is getting rid of this stuff. So the property that we have previously declared salvage, I make a motion that this court find that those cables, the equipment for the VCR, the obsolete and broken washing machine, the dryers, the kitchen equipment, and these cages are things that we have been out of service for many years, and they should have been routinely discarded as waste some time back. If there was just one of these, it wouldn't be worth even talking about it. It's just because they piled a mountain of them up. Now I've got to deal with it. The sheriff's got to deal with it. So that being said, I would make a motion that those aforementioned materials that we declared to salvage are now, we make a finding that they are routinely discarded as waste, and therefore allow the sheriff to transport those to the nearest recycling facility. Motion and second. I know this is different than how we do things. We're doing some research, trying to speed things up, trying to make this easier. All right. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I call the question. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, any abstention, motion carries. Still 20, the 11 rear Tahoe seats, the 3 consoles, and the 5 single seats. Those we need to sell, and I've heard from the sheriff. I think we've all heard that he would like to utilize Mr. Cadditt's auctioneer service. I believe the caveat of being no fees to the seller, the county, all fees must be paid by the buyer. That is my motion. There's a second to that motion. So any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Yay. All right, now we can move on 27. That's discuss and action on budget amendments for Hill County Sheriff's Law Enforcement repairs. Are we ready to go today on that, or we need to hold off? Okay.
I think that where we were gonna finance some vehicles that we didn't end up financing, and that money might be made available to you.
Cool. So we're not going to take action on 27 then. We're going to move to 28, which is discuss and approve opening a non-interest bearing inmate commissary checking account, Wells Fargo. Okay.
Commissary approved.
I got you.
My opinion, I don't.
Well,
Okay, somebody had mentioned, I think it might have been this way. Do we need 2 accounts?
Spoke with Amanda, and we just need the inmate. The wording on 28 is kind of funky. We don't need commissary. The commissary account is the sheriff's money to use for the inmate. She said only we'll need the inmate trust account is the only one. But that'll come back through.
Well, let me tell you why we put it on this way, and I'm confused. I'm with the sheriff on this. I thought we needed an inmate account and a commissary account, both. Oh,
We will continue the commissary account unless you want one.
I don't know what you I thought it was start fresh. But
Well, the commissary account can stay, because we actually have, that account is balanced.
okay, it is. That was my big concern.
Problem with that, right now, we've got people that may have been released, and so they didn't take the money with them. Well, now we can't find them. So we have, a lot of funds that need to be distributed, but we don't have a place to put it.
Yeah.
So the encouragement from the commissary, every commissary company that we talked to was stop that account, open a fresh new one, so all your books are right. We'll transfer over the people that are in custody right now into the fresh new account.
That makes sense.
And then we roll on. And then when we have time and all sorts of free time.
No, sure.
Back, fix this account later.
Yeah, we had to do that in district clerk's office years ago. So it's same thing. Sometimes you just got to stop the bleeding and then start over. So my question on this then is how we've worded this on this agenda is discuss and approve opening a non-interest bearing inmate commissary checking account with Wells Fargo. So it's not a commissary account. It is an inmate account, and that's Scrivener's error on our part because we don't run a jail. So on us. Do we want to move forward when giving the approval to open this new inmate account? And that way they can start the stuff behind the scenes that needs to happen. Remember, these aren't automatic things. They're going to take some time to move forward. So the actual motion would be approval for Hill County Treasurer to open a non-interest bearing checking account with Wells Fargo. The account should be named Hill County Inmate Trust Account 2.
Second there.
Motion and a second. Further discussion on this matter.
I think that, at some point on the phones that are sitting there, they're gonna have to do an unclaimed money report.
Some point.
I don't know how long you can write for that. Think about it still. It's just kind of words.
You've got these. All right, well, we've got a motion and a second. Is there any further information, discussion, additions, corrections, deletions, or general commentary? Hearing none, I shall call the question. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Any abstentions? The motion carries. What else you guys want to talk about today?
Nothing.
I got us out of here by 10:15. Come on, I could have done a lot worse than that.
Make a motion to adjourn.
All right. Motion to second. We stand adjourned. Thank you for pinching matters. Guys, don't leave until I pass these orders around.